Welcome to this edition of Diligence Inside America's Boardrooms. I'm TK Kerstetter, and I'll be your host for today's show. Today, we're going to talk about recent trends in the Director Confidence Index. And joining me is Melanie Nolen, who's the Research Director at Corporate Board Member. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you, TK.
It's a pleasure to have you back, but this time we're going to be talking about the Corporate Board Member / Diligent Institute Director Confidence Index. But before we get into that, it's probably good if you can explain to our viewers exactly what the index is, how it's managed, and how the results are produced.
Yeah, of course. So the Director Confidence Index is a partnership between Corporate Board Member and Diligent Institute. We started this research program in September last year. And basically what it is, it's a monthly flash poll of public company board members on one hand, static questions where we always ask the same questions every month about what their forecasts are for business and the economy in general over the next 12 months. And then we also always add every month various topical issues that we feel are top of mind for boards. So, for instance, this month we talked about talent strategy, but it could be anything ranging from M&A or growth opportunities or digital transformation or anything that we're hearing boards are discussing more and more in the boardroom. We'll just take their pulse on that.
And you're polling sitting board members at this point, correct?
Correct. So it's always active public company only board members in the United States. So the poll usually it's the third week of every month. It fields for 72 hours. And that very Friday, we reveal the results on boardmember.com. And then participants also get their own little digital report of the findings. So it's very timely.
Yeah. So I found it interesting. You know, you always have business confidence indexes, and I thought it was interesting to get the director's view. But I did notice on this last report that we're starting to see a little bit of a change or a trend in the Director Confidence Index. What can you tell us a little bit about what are sparked and what some of those changes were?
Yeah, this is the first month this month that we're seeing a dip in confidence among the public company director segment. Since we started fielding, and of course we started in September, and at the time I think growth was starting to return as a major topic of conversation across boardrooms and leadership teams. And so ever since we started polling, we've seen confidence tick up, and up on a monthly basis, rather steadily too. Especially now with the end of COVID being in sight and businesses reopening. And so we expected confidence to keep rising. And then this month, we just noticed confidence fell 4% since last month. So that's a huge drop, according to our scale anyway. We rate conditions on a 1-10 scale, and it fell to a 7.2 this month, which from 7.5 last month, if I remember correctly. So 7.2 is still not devastating. Well, let's not jump ahead of anything. It's not where it was last September, for instance, but it's a major drop. And so we wanted to know what was going on, and we dug a little deeper into directors' comments in the survey. And two things jumped out as being areas of concern to them. So one is they're telling us that despite strong demand and consumer confidence and, like I said, reopening of business in general, they're very, very concerned and increasingly concerned about inflationary pressures. So they're looking at next year with a little bit of uncertainty on that front. And the second thing that's resonating as well is the potential tax increases and, similar other maybe less business friendly policies that may be coming out of Washington. So it's putting their perspective into more of a bearish territory, if I can say that, than it has been over the past few months. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes, how it develops. But for now, it's definitely something to monitor.
So those trends are sort of based on your standard questions. Probably the most interesting thing that I saw, and it's worth us talking about a little bit, was the shortage, their feelings on the shortage of skilled talent going forward. That's worth us talking about. So share what the results reflected for that particular shortage concern.
Yes, that I agree with you. That was just impressive. We expected something out of those questions that we asked about talent, but we didn't expect that much of it. But basically, what directors are telling us, and what we're hearing from CEOs as well, because we do the same exercise with the CEO community, and basically, there is a very real talent shortage right now for companies across the country. We're seeing maybe more of that, flyover country than coast. But 71% of directors in our survey last week told us that they are facing what we call a skilled talent shortage. So it's not necessarily talent in general, but finding the talent that has the skills to take them to the next level. The conversations we're having with them is that, with the digitalization wave that came about with COVID, it opened up new roles, or at least repositioned certain roles, and just new strategies being on the table. And they're having to fill those roles with new skills that they didn't have before. And they're not finding them. It's a highly competitive environment out there, especially with the remote work possibilities now. And so 71% of directors this month told us that they're facing the shortage. And an additional 13 said that, although, was it 13? I think, 13 said that they're not facing the shortage yet, but they're very concerned that it's coming down the road really fast for them as well. So it's definitely something that they're having to grapple with.
In any way, have they defined skilled? Are we talking computer skills? Are we talking, more labor skills, or have they defined that at all in the survey?
So in this particular one, we didn't dig that deep into what the skills gap they're trying to fill is. However, we've done other surveys in recent months, longer surveys across both the board and the CEO community. And what we're hearing is, on one hand, yes, digital skills is one thing that's definitely being discussed and being, the one of the gaps that they're trying to fill. And then the other one is the human capital gap, trying to wrap their heads around what the whole DEI movement, if I could say movement, but what that means for their company, how they can tackle that and make sure that their employees are, happy and, not mental healthy, the mental well-being and physically. So they're looking at all this, I think, again, highlighting what some of the issues that came out of COVID, or at least 2020, brought to the surface, and companies realizing maybe they were missing a couple of key roles in that area.
Well, that is very interesting. And when you put that together with the shortage that the whole, all industries are having this time, getting workers back to come back, restaurants, just hotels. It just seems like everybody has job fairs these days that aren't very well attended, and shortage. So it's a big deal. And, it's going to be interesting to take a look at this in a couple months and see what trends have happened. And where can people on a monthly basis look at the index?
So the findings are published on boardmember.com on the third Friday of the month, barring a couple of exceptions, but usually it's the third Friday of the month. And any public company directors who wants to participate and share the forecast, and then they obtain a digital report of the findings that we benchmark also by sector and by company size and that sort of thing, they can just send an email to research@chiefexecutive.net, and somebody on the research team will just add them to the polling, the next polling invitation that we send out.
And I'm sure Diligent publishes that in their portal as well. So, Melanie, thanks for the update on the confidence index. It's something that, again, this month has sort of put us on high alert to watch this going forward. And I appreciate the update, and we'll look forward to having you back with more information on the future of business in the future. So, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Happy to do so. Thank you for having me.
And that will conclude this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again next week when we take another look at a critical topic that'll help you be a better board member or committee member. So we'll see you then.